So Chewy's Choice, that means you like the movie.
No, I just picked this movie.
Okay, cool.
This is TNC at the movies. However, we have a special episode where we have Chewy's Choice, where we're going to review The Boy 2.
Mm-hmm.
Special guest is Studio P.
Applause button. You're going to press it. That's going to be edited later. Yes.
Yeah, no, we'll add it on.
Studio Pete, a legendary producer for Dark Room Familia, other nationally renowned acts, affiliated with several legendary labels, Dog Day Records, Stay Tuned Entertainment, Palm Tree Entertainment.
Look for him on Instagram.
You can see me on Instagram at Studio Pete 510.
I'll have all the handles right here below. Don't worry about a thing.
Okay. Rapper, producer, actor in the movies Veteranos, Penitentiary Chances, The Dope Game.
Look it all up.
Blood and Tears,
YouTube,
Smile Now, Cry Later.
As a matter of fact, all of it's going to be at in the description below.
Wow, there we go.
Don't you forget to subscribe, comment, like, do all of those things before you continue, because,
Yeah,
I don't know if you're going to like the video yet, but let's get to it.
there we go.
Here's the plot of the movie.
Okay, let's get to it, yes.
Basically, there are just another family that moves into the Hillshire mansion,
I'm glad you remembered.
which ends up being haunted or some sort of, I don't know, this creepy doll is just there all the time. And before we actually get further into what it is about, have you seen the first Boy movie?
I did see the first Boy movie. And
Okay.
it was okay. I enjoyed it.
We're going to go full spoilers on that movie real quick.
Okay, let's do it.
Basically, woman came to be the live-in babysitter for a doll. And the doll moved, was creepy, it ate food, and it basically played out to be this whole like supernatural thing. And it turned out to be a crazy guy that lived in the wall for 30 years.
Yes. 30 years. Could you imagine that? That'll make you crazier than already you was. We don't know if he dies or not, though. Right? Does he die in the... It doesn't matter because they don't even show him in part 2.
It doesn't even matter because you know what? To be honest with you, this movie takes that movie and that plot and then it just wipes its butt with it and just throws it away. Because this movie does not give you the impression that it's...
You know what I like, though? The first movie, it was blamed on a physical entity, the guy hiding in the walls. This movie, it was more of a spiritual demonic entity, which we'll get to that in a minute.
But here's the crazy part. I'm not even gonna look it up. It's the same person, the same people wrote and directed this. So they wrote the first one and said, we're gonna do it this way, and then like, let's do it, let's do a second one. Hey, remember all the stuff in the first one? Let's forget that. And do it this way now.
That's good though. I sort of like that. Because you got two markets now. Think about it this way. You got the people that saw the first one are going to want to see the second one. And then the ones that'll be like, well, I can't see the second one because I didn't see the first one. That's out the window. They can still see it anyway. So you think, that might be a good point.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
I want to talk about Katie Holmes for a minute. I have not seen her in anything myself since Dawson's Creek and the tabloids for being Tom Cruise's wife. What has she been in up until now? Nothing, right? You can't think of nothing either.
I feel like her sister was in Batman.
Okay. She was wrapped up in Scientology. We know that. I'm sure there's trauma. For not being around in a minute, I think her performance for a mediocre role, right? I don't want to say mediocre role, but it's not like she's the big star. Like if they were to cast somebody, right? Yeah. It's sort of mediocre role. Her acting was okay for not being in anything I could remember for quite some time. She had to act scared a lot. There was emotion she had to show. I nearly died. Remember where you burst out laughing?
Okay. Let's talk about that because that is part of the plot. So the reason they move into this mansion is because they had to do a setup of why they're there, which was there was a home invasion.
Yes.
And apparently it was a violent home invasion.
And dudes in masks, they came, they choked her, and then they hit her in the head with the statue. And then she has nightmares because she's still in that apartment.
Just several nightmares.
She needs to get out of that environment because it's traumatizing her.
And also, Drew, the son, he becomes mute because of the trauma.
Yeah, he does not want to speak. He annoyingly draws on stuff and shows it to you. And that was actually annoying me. I'm glad he started speaking again. But they move out of that into the Hillshire residence, which is the location of the first movie where all the stuff goes down. And it's about to go down again, apparently.
And he finds the doll. Doll is named Brahms.
Yes.
He finds it out in the wood because he's being called to it. That's how that works, apparently.
Yeah.
And throughout the entire movie, it's very, very creepy through most of it. Now, I will say it's a little slow, but it is very, very creepy.
Yeah, it picks up a little bit where the last one was as far as the rules. If you remember, there's rules,
Definitely rules.
that Brahms had in the last one.
There's the food.
He has to eat. You can't leave him alone. He has to be dressed. You have to kiss him goodnight. Thank goodness the list stopped after that one.
Right.
What else he wanted? You know, this is the PG, thank goodness. And all this stuff. The boy had to have him everywhere.
Everywhere.
But the parents are like, I'm not doing all these rules. And apparently if you piss Brahms off, stuff starts to go down.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. The table was flipped by Brahms. The dog, there was a caretaker of the Hillshire residence. And apparently the caretaker's dog got gutted. The kid who fell on the stick.
He fell on the stick. You saw it in the trailer?
Yes.
Yeah, he went right through. So this doll is evil. Now, the way that it was portrayed, I thought it was good. I mean, the doll was creepy. The entire time you saw it move little by little. Like first you saw his eyes move, and then at another point you saw him do this. And then lastly, you heard him like running, little tapping of his, when he's running off.
That's creepy. That's creepy.
Which I thought was done well because it's one of those where the less you see the monster, the creepier it is. However, this was kind of done a little differently because you got to see the monster and not at the same time Schrodinger's monster.
There's a lot of implications where it's up to you to fill in the blanks, but that's what makes it so scary because you're like, oh my God, could it?
Right.
I do want to throw this in there. The doll was put back together. That'll show up later in the movie, but remember the first one, I guess he was destroyed. The second one, whoever finds him, I can't give away too much. So if you have questions, we can't answer all. You got to see the movie. But he was put back together, and that's how all the stuff started again, because he was put back together. Then, as we said, they go there. The boy finds them. All the stuff starts going down. I do want to say that Katie, what's her name?
Holmes.
Katie Holmes. Can I say this? You might have to edit it out. The parents were very white. Should we go there?
Oh, okay. You know what?
Yes.
I've been thinking about this because we don't want to get demonetized.
Okay,
We don't want to get demonetized. But
proper then. White, we use proper.
no, here's what I think we should call it because everyone's gonna know exactly what we're talking about. They are we're gonna call these suburban situations.
Why didn't I think of that word? Suburban. Yes, I like that.
It's the entire thing was very, very, very much like that.
Yes, like something happens to their child. The psychologist, because when all this starts going down, especially with the home invasion, the kid stops talking, they get a psychologist. Then he finds the doll, the weird stuff happens. The psychologist saying, keep an eye on him. Don't let him out of your sight. As soon as that is said, they let the kid wander off or they turn their back on him. And I'm like,
they FaceTime repeatedly the doctor. I mean, that is the definition of suburban situation.
yeah. Just a little too much worry, too much in depth. They should have punished him more.
Should have punished him
more.
more.
Stricter. Be on top of that.
More.
Yes, but they weren't. The reactions or the vocabulary. This is why I think you laughed when Katie Holmes is telling her husband the trauma and how it really affected her. She said, "I nearly died," or "I nearly died." You laughed when she
I
said
did,
that.
and I will tell you exactly why.
I know why, but go ahead.
Exactly why. Just for one, I thought that entire setup was sort of weak to do that, and I feel like I felt it was very lazy. It was a lazy plot device. I thought that you could do way better. Well, she did get clocked in the head with the
Yes.
with the Eiffel Tower.
Which implications? Because this movie has a lot of implications. Maybe that's why her reaction was so suburban or over the top, because she was knocked out. And implications, maybe there were other things that happened to her.
Or maybe,
after
you know what? Maybe she got clocked in the back of the head, and this entire thing is all in her head while she's in a coma, because obviously it ain't even real.
Right? Could be. So, I'm going to jump back. Now, we were talking about Katie Holmes, and I was making jokes the whole movie that a lot of her trauma was, well, she was in a relationship with Tom Cruise, Scientology. Maybe that's what it was. But back to the movie. Thank you, Katie Holmes.
Excellent work. Excellent work.
Katie Holmes.
Great job.
Yes.
Great job.
She has aged. I just threw that in there. So now, the boy is getting weirder. People are getting hurt and injured. The boy starts speaking now. And he tells his mom, I can't control the doll. The doll is getting too strong. He wants to...
Whatever,
Yes.
That means...
In all kids' movies, every kid's movies, and movie people, please start thinking something else. The kid starts drawing scary pictures. Have you noticed this throughout 20, 30 years? Every scary movie involving a kid, the kid's got to draw little bloody pictures. Come up with something new, Hollywood.
Which, by the way, I don't want to feel like I keep coming up with gripes, but here's another gripe.
Gripe it up.
I felt like the entire time, because he was writing down what he was writing down, because he wouldn't talk because he was a mute.
Yeah.
I feel like you were making me read. You were making me do subtitles, and if you're not foreign, I don't appreciate it.
Right, and
I don't appreciate it.
United States, there's a lot of other people in this country, and maybe they just, maybe it should have had subtitles for, I get what you're saying.
I mean...
Even regular people in the educational system can't read anyway. So,
I mean,
I see your
point. Don't get me wrong. I love me some foreign film with some subtitles. Bring it on. But if your film is already in English and you're gonna make me read English,
yeah. God. So all that's happening. Now this is the point where, when I said earlier that the first movie there was a physical reason the doll was doing all this stuff. Check this out. Can I just say it? Spoiler alert? I don't know. I'm going to say it. The doll turns out to be possessed by demonic presence. And then it explains what happened before the first movie. This doll has been messing stuff up for hundreds of years with several families. Yes, and it's a demonic presence in the doll. And they actually show the demonic presence. So when the kid falls on, you see it in the preview, but we'll just say the little demonic doll has the mute boy's cousin come to visit to maybe this will help him out. They start fighting. The doll makes the kid fall back on a broken stick. Goes through him. So the dad, right after the psychologist says, hey, be near your child, don't separate from your family. Your wife is still traumatized from not only all the stuff that happened before she got to Hillshire, but all the weird stuff that started happening right when they got to Hillshire. The dad leaves anyway. That was as to the suburbanite for me. A ghetto mother would be, honey, if I'm leaving, here's a gun, here's a weapon.
There you go.
We're going to leave someone with you, but they all left. And now the mom, who's already been through a lot, is left with the boy who's been through a lot, and stuff starts happening. So the mom has to go find the boy, find the doll in the original Hillshire residence. If you remember from the first one, all the inside the walls.
Yeah, you get to go inside the wall.
There's all this maze going on. She's by herself. So she eventually finds the boy and whatnot. The caretaker, let's not forget the caretaker, he comes back into play. Turns out he is connected to the doll as well. The doll is sort of called him to it as well. The caretaker must have been there for God knows how long.
That's right, because he's the one. He's actually the plot device from the first movie to the second one, because he breaks in the first,
Yes.
and he's the one that puts them together in the second, which sets up this entire thing.
Yes, he captures the mom. Remember, the dad is away at the hospital
Yeah.
with the cousin that fell on the stick. And so now the mom is left alone. The caretaker catches her and is now explaining, hey, the doll called me to it. I was the one that put the doll in the dirt. The doll told me that you guys were going to come. All this and that to explain the story. Katie Holmes hits him in the face after a very excellent spit scene from the guy who played the caretaker. I thought that stole the whole movie. He got so into the character that while he's explaining the story about the boy to Katie Holmes, he's spitting. I don't think that was in the script.
Those organic.
There was a big spit thing, and then he goes and licks it up to enhance the crazy role. She hits him in the face. She looks for her son. They end up in the cellar where the furnace is or something. And then this is when the doll gets smashed in the head because the father finally comes back out of nowhere, smashes the doll in the head, but you think the doll would fall apart. They thought the doll would fall apart.
Yeah, he went all the boogeyman from Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yes.
But his shell comes off, and now he's all kinds of other nasty things.
The dad hits him in the head. You think the doll is done. The doll's laid down, but then it does a thriller. It comes back, it turns its head, and under the porcelain shell is a demonic-looking, creepy, one eye is white, the other eye is melted away. It's all black. The mouth looks like something I don't want to say. The mouth is caved in and just, he looks all jacked up. So now it's revealed this is a demonic presence.
Oh, yeah.
So
the entire time.
Yes. Long story short, the boy throws the doll into the furnace, and then you think everything's happy dory. They're back at their old house. They're giggling and they're laughing. Remember, they're at the dinner table. Right? It goes from there back to the dinner table at their old residence. Is that how it went? Yeah, everyone's laughing and giggling. You think everything's okay. I'll let you take it.
Well, the whole thing is another suburban situation.
Yes, because there's a lot of them in the movie.
I feel like the entire time, they didn't like buy the house. I think they like Airbnb this house for like the summer. Like that's
very suburban.
Very.
Yeah.
Very. Mm-hmm. Very.
And it just seemed also creepy. Like you're going from one creepy situation. I don't know if I want to say it just wouldn't happen to someone that wasn't a suburbanite. They'd be thinking better. They would be, used to dealing with trauma so much that they would know how to deal with trauma. These people did not know how to deal with trauma. They made it worse. Why would you go to a creepy house? And why would you let the kid keep some creepy doll that was making you further traumatized? Suburbanite. The movie ends because they think it's all done. The mom puts the boy to bed. Everything seems okay. The boy goes to his closet, and what was also we left out throughout the whole movie, there's also a mask that the boy found of the previous
Brahms. The human Brahms.
Yeah, if you remember for the first movie,
he wore this weird.
He wore this porcelain mask all the time to cover up because in the first one, the boy was burned. Remember?
Yeah.
That's why he was hiding in the walls. Watch the first one. I can't go there with you right now. Those that know, that know. So the boy found it, somehow took it home, and puts it on when the mom puts him to bed, and puts it on, and I guess the spirit is still alive, and the boy is talking to himself with the mask on. It's okay, Brahms. I think you're going to like it here. So on and so forth. And then that's the end of the movie, which leaves it open to a part 3. Also,
well, there's endless families already anyway. So
yes.
And more. I mean, you can do prequels. You already said there's all kinds of families. You don't even have to go in the future.
But I want to say this real quick. Chewy's Choice, everybody, welcome. So remember when the kid was drawing all those scary pictures? One of the scary pictures was him with the mask on over his parents' dead bodies. Do you remember that? One of the pictures was. So I forgot about that. But I'm thinking now, in the end of the movie, the boy took the mask and put it on. Did that mean he was going to reenact that drawing? Because he has the mask. Everyone thinks it's over. Their guard is down. The boy has the mask now. The possession is all over again. Could it be the end of the movie?
For a second there, I
goes
thought
and
that
kills
we
them.
could have possibly been what I like to call getting skeleton keyed, where there's some kind of voodoo magic and the bad guy trades bodies, and then the good guy ends up dying because you think you killed the bad guy.
Right.
And then, it's like, huh.
That's another implication where they sort of leave it open for interpretation. Right? So my overall, I'm going to say B. I really want to say a C plus 0.5, whatever that
Plus
means.
0.5. Okay, yeah, let's
C
do
plus
that.
0.5. That's how I feel.
Well,
What would you grade it as?
I'm going to tell you what I feel in general and why I'm going to give this grade. I'm going to give this movie probably a B minus.
Okay.
B minus, mostly because I think it took 2 acts to build up to the third instead of building up the first to the second and then having the grand third, if you will. So I thought it was a little too slow from the beginning.
It was.
I thought that a lot of the characters, while I think that some of the plot devices were weak, I think a lot of the weakness was because they were not prototypical in a good way, but they were very all too common. Like, how many horror movies where there's possession or something creepy or supernatural where there isn't a groundskeeper, right?
Yeah.
So in this one, I mean, there's a few little twists. For example, the groundskeeper. Let's just stay for that character.
Yeah, I did not know he was going to be like.
And it's like one of
I didn't know he
those
was
things,
going to be a bad guy.
And then, what they did, like a subtle, what I think I did like was they did some very subtle, small payoffs. For example, that one where he finds him for the first time, and then he says, "Yeah, he found him buried in the forest," and he goes, "Of course you did." And then later on, you find out he told me to bury him there because he knew that you would come.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay. So I mean, like,
A
there's
little surprise there.
There's definitely writing that was premeditated. Like a lot of the stuff was premeditated. So that I thought that the writing was mostly well done. I just thought it kind of dragged on. And I don't know if you noticed this, but
Okay, probably did, but go ahead.
okay, he got smashed in the face, but then nobody died.
No.
You get the violence of a
Yeah, you would expect an end. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so obviously he's strong, but then nobody died.
Yeah, I get it. Okay, if he's as strong as he is portrayed earlier in the movie, you would expect a
Like, you just
bigger
expect
battle.
all this evilness and all this other stuff, but
Yeah.
well,
It's
you know
like
what?
you're
okay,
playing
okay.
a video game and you
Okay.
get to the end
All
character. and
right, Pete to the dog, because I always get upset when an animal has to be
and they gutted
taken
the
out.
dog. Poor dog.
You know what? Actually, I just realized that I do have a rule. If an animal dies in your movie, you get downgraded. This movie has a C now.
Oh, no. Animal cruelty.
Animal cruelty. We love dogs here at TNC.
Right? PETA is going to be protesting this movie now.
Just darn right. And not that I'm on their side, but I just, I'll be watching with my popcorn. Because you can't do that.
No.
Everyone in Hollywood, you got to stop doing that.
Katie Holmes,
Very
try and do better movie
Very
roles,
disappointing.
honey.
Anyway,
Like, you're
we're going to give this movie a C.
All right.
It was a little bit slow. They tried very hard so that the writing was adequate, I feel. So,
Adequate, another A word. 2 A words. I'm going to put an S in front of it. Slightly above average.
slightly.
Slightly
After all,
above
they did make this movie. And I also feel like they made this movie because they were like, hey, let's look back how much the other movie made. Oh crap! It made a bunch of money.
Yeah.
Bunch of money. Let's make a sequel.
If there wasn't the whole millennial thing going on, where the attention span I don't want to talk about millennials. I'm getting into it too much. 10, 15 years ago, this movie would not have been created.
No.
Our quality was a little bit expected to be higher. And you notice a lot of movies that are just spitting them out.
Also, stop using Google as a thing to explain as a narrator to your movie. I don't need that.
Right? I'm gonna look everything up on Google.
I don't need that.
Use Lycos. I'm just kidding.
Don't need that.
You
I mean,
remember
like,
Lycos.
just do better writing. Like, show me something. Don't put the camera over the shoulder of somebody looking up research, and that's how we know that all of this happened. That's
Right? Because they could have did more and actually had an actual character come in and explain what was going on instead of just Google filling in for characters. That was deep. You went deep on that.
I was gonna don't tell me, show me. But this is like kind of below, just below that. Like, I wish you would tell me before you did this, because now I'm like,
Google saves the day. Less work for me in the script department, but it got there. There was a plot, a beginning, a middle, end. It wrapped to the last one.
I feel like a creeper.
Yeah.
We're all creepers looking over people's shoulders at what they're doing on their Google searches.
If you think about it, all social media is creeping, trolling. But anyway, so somehow they threw that into the movie. Okay, get with the day and ages. That's what it is. That's what goes on. They threw it in the movie. Part 3, is it coming? I don't know. I will tell you this, the suspense of having a part 2 after the first one is not going to be as much as it is from the second to the third. I just don't see it.
All right.
There we go. Chewy's Choice, The Boy 2. If you ain't got nothing to do, go see the movie.
Comment below.
There we go. All right.